Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's JT and Dillon. We are here at the location where we always record our podcast, but tonight we're doing a special podcast with Ryan Mouton from the Tennessee Titans, former cornerback for the Titans from 2009 to 2012. We also have Jimmy Morris from MusicCityMiracle.com. He'll be joining us as well. We're actually going to be adding Ryan onto the broadcast right now as we speak. And then also Jimmy too. JT, we're going to be talking about the AFC Championship game. We're going to be talking about the Titans a little bit too, talking about their season they had and the success they've had with Ryan Tannehill, and also some of the ups and downs we've had in this season, including the first 6 games of the season where Marcus Mariota struggled heavily with his team. His offensive line was not keeping him upright, and they paid the price in those games. But what are some things you're looking forward to talking with Ryan and Jimmy about tonight?
Well, what I'm looking forward to, Dillon, is just seeing how they've seen the team form throughout the season. Because remember, it's early in the season. We're 2-4. We're going to on pace to miss the playoffs again after making it 2 years ago. And the team recovered, went on a run with Ryan Tannehill, which I think no one expected after we got him from the trade. And the Titans have been on fire. So just I'm going to talk about team's form, getting some tips on what's going to happen, we should expect for the offense and defense, and looking forward to going for another upset against the Chiefs tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, so Jimmy Morris is actually with us right now. I'm still trying to add Ryan Mouton onto the broadcast. So Ryan, if you don't mind trying to send that request one more time for us to get you on the broadcast here. Jimmy, once again, thanks for joining us on the broadcast this evening.
Yeah, glad to do it.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be a huge matchup, but I think the Titans will be able to answer the bell, but we'll be able to talk more about that in the broadcast. All right. There you go. There he is. Perfect. All righty. Now we have former Titans back Ryan on the show as well. Ryan, thanks for joining us, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Okay, well, we have Jimmy and Ryan. We are ready to go. Once again, thanks everybody for watching the broadcast. This is Out of Bounds on Periscope. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can also find us on all your podcasting websites, on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher Radio, things of that nature. But tonight we're going to solely focus on the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, obviously, as you can see by my cup, it's our favorite team. JT and I have been Titans fans for a lifetime, I guess you could say. But it's interesting to see how they've come up in this league in this season. This season saw some ups and downs, like we talked about at the very beginning of the broadcast, with the Titans going 2-4 on the season to begin with. Marcus Mariota struggling. We bring in Ryan Tannehill, and the rest is history. So let's just kind of break it down from the very beginning of the season. So from your vantage point, I'll throw this both to you, Jimmy, and you, Ryan. The rough start to this season. First of all, what do you think went wrong with Marcus Mariota on this team? Ryan, I'll start with you first, sir.
Honestly, of course, there was trouble on the offensive line. Taylor, the one, he wasn't there with the suspension. I don't think they ever gelled as far as an offensive line together in the beginning. And I'm not sure. I've been a Marcus fan, because I went to University of Hawaii. He's from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I've been watching him since high school, and I've been a fan of his. And I don't really know exactly what happened, but I'm still pulling from him. I'm hoping that maybe a fresh start or whatnot with someone, and would benefit him. But yeah, it's just I don't know if it's been maybe different coordinators or what it is, but whatever for whatever reason, it just didn't work out for us at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the coordinators, that was a big thing about his game, was going from coordinator to coordinator. He had, 4 or 5 different coordinators in his first 5 seasons in the league.
Right. Right.
That's overcome as a quarterback when you're starting to get your feet wet a little bit in the league and coming from a system like Oregon. So, Jimmy, with these different obstacles that were coming about him, I think he'll be successful in the league somewhere else as well. What do you think his struggles were, and do you see him going to a potential suitor in the NFL as a starting quarterback? Or do you think he's going to be possibly a backup quarterback wherever he goes?
Yeah, I mean, I think wherever he goes, he'll probably start out as a backup deal. I really do think he can be successful. I mean, we saw him have a lot of success early on in his NFL career. And of course, I mean, it's impossible for us to know what went wrong. But to me, it looked like just kind of a confidence issue. And I think part of that is all the coordinators, like y'all were saying. I mean, having to learn different systems, pretty much every year he was in the league. That had to be tough on him. And then it just seemed like maybe he wasn't trusting what he was seeing. And then, like Ryan's saying, the offensive line was really rough, especially when Taylor Lewan wasn't out there. And even the first couple of games when Lewan came back, it seemed like it took him a little bit of time to get together. Of course, that was Nate Davis was out of the lineup at that point too. So I think there were just kind of a lot of things. And I mean, it's impossible not to root for Marcus Mariota, right? I mean, he seems like the nicest guy in the world. And it's not that he didn't do everything that he could to make it work here. It just didn't for whatever reason. So I do think he can have success somewhere else. It's amazing the flip that this offense has made really, since Tannehill was put in.
Yeah, so we saw Marcus Mariota. He didn't get injured this season, which was a good thing. I think he had a minor injury throughout the first 6 games, but nothing to keep him out of starting games like we've seen in previous years. And so when Ryan Tannehill came to this team, like you were talking about, there were some O-line issues. Taylor Lewan, he got suspended for the first 4 games of the season from PEDs. But then also the defense kept them in games. I mean, that was the biggest thing, is that this offense was not putting points on the board, but the defense was giving up only a max of 20 points a game in the first 6 games. So who are some of the defensive standouts you see in the first 6 games to keep this team competitive, at least, going into the Super Bowl run?
I like the combination of Kenny Vaccaro and Kevin back there in the safeties. I mean, having those 2 guys helps out tremendously. And of course, with Jarrell Casey up front, he's a proven veteran. He's still getting the job done. The linebackers have been playing well. Even I love the way they flow to the ball. I think they've played with a bend but don't break type of mentality. For especially those first 6 games, and so I'm impressed with the defense of what they've done, where they've come and what they're doing now. So.
Yeah, what about you, Jimmy? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the success the defense had early on was kind of a weaker schedule. If you go back and look at the teams they played, it wasn't exactly a murderer's row of offenses. So I think that did help. And this defense is good. It's been kind of up and down. When you had the few weeks there where Malcolm Butler gets hurt, Adoree Jackson gets hurt, LaShawn Sims gets hurt. I mean, anytime you've got 3 guys at the same position getting hurt, that's going to be tough on any team, right? And so they had to kind of patch it together there for a few weeks. But they've really come together in these last couple of weeks. And like Ryan said, I mean, they're giving up yards. You look at what Lamar Jackson was able to do last week, but only give up 12 points. Exactly, the bend but don't break. Let them have stuff between the 20s, but then really be really good in the red zone. Keep teams out of the end zone. So I mean that's kind of what they've been doing, and it feels like this is the defense, especially. It's kind of like where the sum of all the parts is greater than any of the individual parts. They've come together and they've played really well. And then you've got obviously Jeffrey Simmons getting inserted into the lineup. That's made a huge difference. You've seen Jarrell Casey benefit from that because they can't focus as much on him up front. He had a big play obviously last week. So I think just kind of all of those different things coming together has made this group what it is. And I mean, Kenny Vaccaro, what a fortunate thing it was for the Titans last year that nobody had signed him. For whatever reason, the safety market was just dead going into last year, and he was still available when Cyprien got hurt. He's been great. Obviously, Byard, we know, is one of the best safeties in the league. So, I mean, they've got a lot of good players, and so when you kind of put that all together, they've really come together and have really played as well as they needed to, in the games that really mattered.
Yeah, and I think they have a really good combination of young players, but also veteran players too, like Kenny Vaccaro and players like that. I think that this defense has been definitely, especially during the Patriots game when they had the hyena video come out. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. But they've kind of had that, we travel as a pack, and we're going to take on anybody that stands in our way. And we've seen the first 2 games of the playoffs. JT, I'll toss it over.
Yeah, guys. So I remember early in the season when everyone was talking about what happened with the Colts, with Andrew Luck retiring, and then Nick Foles going to Jacksonville, and then everyone was still kind of wondering what was going to happen to the Houston Texans. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Titans, the AFC South is going to be a walk for them." But as we saw when the season started, it didn't turn out that way. And then once they switched everything over to Ryan Tannehill, he's managed to turn around. So kind of just explain, because to Ryan Tannehill, he was traded to us, so a lot of people may not expect much, but going into taking over that job and how he's handled the reins, just assess his performance, during the season, how he's carried the team out through the playoffs.
Well, when we first, made the trade for Tannehill, to me, I thought, it was a great move because I didn't think they were bringing him here just to be a backup quarterback. I thought they were bringing him in to compete. Of course, Marcus has had, some injury issues as well. So, of course, they wanted a reliable, maybe how they saw it was a backup. But, since the preseason, he's played well in the preseason. And, he just played his position as well. As far as, I'm sure he's been helpful. He was helpful to Mariota when he wasn't starting. And he's played lights out. These last couple of weeks, of course, he hadn't had to, throw the ball maybe 30 or 40 times, because Derrick Henry's been so good. But, when he's had to throw the ball, he's made, the right throws. And yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed with him, and I'm hoping that we sign him back.
Yeah, I mean, he's, come in and you just couldn't believe if you watched this team the first 6 weeks, you couldn't believe the change in the offense after he got in there. And yeah, just making all the right reads, making big throws when he needs to. I mean, that throw to Khalif Raymond last week, you're not going to see a better throw than that anywhere in the NFL. Great catch, obviously, too. But, just taking advantage of what's there. And I think that's the biggest problem they were having with Marcus is a couple things. One, I think he was afraid to push the ball down the field. And again, I really think it has to do with confidence, but I mean, that's just kind of my opinion. But, and then also Marcus got to where he was just missing throws that he really had to make easy throws. And Tannehill hasn't missed those throws. He's been decisive with the ball, and gotten it into the playmakers' hands. And when you've got a guy like A.J. Brown on the outside, again, who's been quiet the last couple of weeks because they haven't needed him. But he's still there. You've got that guy, Jonnu Smith, emerging as a premier tight end. All those things kind of come together, and he's just out there distributing the ball, making the throws he has to make, not making any bad turnovers. I mean, he had the pick in New England, but it was a 3rd and long. It was a long 3rd in the field anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But anyway, yeah, just being a guy that's out there, and you hate to, you don't want to call him a game manager, right? Because I mean, he averaged 9.8 or whatever it was yards per attempt during the regular season, so he was definitely doing more than managing the game. But at the same time, he was just, when they were asking him to make a throw, he was making it, and it just seemed like he was doing that every time. And I think he's just been steady like that, and that's allowed this offense to come together as the offensive line gelled, as Derrick Henry got on this run, guys emerging around him. So it's just really, you've seen that they've got a lot of good pieces in place, and now you've got Tannehill back there that can distribute the ball, get the ball in those guys' hands, and they're able to make plays. And that was kind of what they were missing in the beginning of the year.
So when you were talking about Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota, when we switched over from Marcus Mariota to Ryan Tannehill, when the team started picking up their play, do you think it was because they said, oh crap, if they sit Marcus Mariota, that means that we need to step up and do our job? Or do you think it was more of Ryan Tannehill actually being that good of a quarterback to where he elevated the team that much to where he drove this team to the success they had in the rest of the season?
Well, I think, like you said, Marcus was having confidence issues. And I think, that also can, it can leak into, the team as well. And so I think when Tannehill comes in and, he gets off to, a decent start, it can help the team also. I think he's a good leader as well. He's in Miami, and whatever reason that didn't work out. But from what I've known, just watching him at Texas A&M and when he's been a good leader. And I think that attitude gotten to the team as well. Defense, like you said, they've been playing well, and I think they stepped it up a little bit more. But I think he just fits the system well. He fits what we do well. Run the ball, play action, and I mean, you couldn't ask for a better play than what we had. With him.
Yeah, I think it's just been a perfect storm of things that came together when he did. AJ Brown emerging, the offensive line. I mean, I think all those things just kind of came together at the right time. So, I don't think any of these guys needed to see a guy benched to like light a fire under them. I don't think that was it. I think it was just kind of, really, it seems like Arthur Smith's hands were kind of tied with what they could do with Marcus, just kind of where he was at that time. And once, you kind of were able to open things up and do what they really wanted to do with all those guys, it really just kind of all came together. So, and again, I don't think it was all, I don't think the struggles early on were all Marcus's fault. I think there were a lot of things that played into that. But, obviously they made the exact right move to get Tannehill in there, and they've taken off from there.
Yeah, and taking off from there, they went to a 7-3 record after that. And the games that they lost, the biggest game they lost, I guess not really the biggest, but against the biggest opponent was probably the Saints game in Week 16. But at that point, it was more of like, well, if we lose this game, that's fine. We have Week 17 to play. And if
we mentioned, we also have 3 weeks prior, we played Houston, where they beat us to win the AFC South Division.
Yep.
But we did return the favor in Week 17.
We did, for sure. So, yeah, the 7-3 record, we end the season that way. Do you think that the Titans would have finished the season as stronger than they did if they started Ryan Tannehill Week 1?
I mean, like you said, I can't say that maybe the season maybe would have went differently, just because, like you said, we were having offensive line issues. There was other issues, and just because you have a different quarterback maybe was playing at that time, it's just, I don't think it was just that one position that was holding us back. Early on, we just weren't playing well as a team. And so, we made the switch when we did. The offensive line starts gelling. We start running the ball, and it just happened to just go. It just happened to go right at the right time.
Yeah, it's easy to look back and say, "Wow, they could have won that Jaguars game. They could have beat the Bills." It's easy to look back and say all that, but look, I think Ryan said it perfectly. The team wasn't playing well, just in general, and so to spend time. We don't know. We don't know, but whenever and you understand. They had to. There were the reports later on that said the coaching staff wanted to go with Tannehill from Week 1, but the front office and everybody said no, they had to go with Marcus. You understand that? 5th year, a guy that was second overall pick. You got to find out if he's it or not. And so I think they let that play out. They decided they needed to switch to spark the entire team, and it worked out really well for them.
Yeah, so we talked about the 3-headed offensive beast we had for the Tennessee Titans. We talked about Ryan Tannehill. We talked about Derrick Henry. We also talked about A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown having an offensive rookie of the year type of year. I think he is hands down, in my opinion, should win that award. He had great numbers with Tannehill. He had a great connection with Tannehill. And Derrick Henry does what Derrick Henry does. He ran the ball. He ran it hard. And he didn't care who was in his way. He was going to knock you down. So with that tandem and with the season the way it went, so what team do you think, what game do you think was the best win for the Titans this season?
It's funny that I would say this game, but that Chiefs game was huge. It showed exactly who we were. Derrick Henry runs for 188 yards. A couple touchdowns. Tannehill, he is efficient as far as passing. I think he was 13 for 19. He throws for another 2 touchdowns or whatnot. Come from behind, win, and I think we really needed that game. They had what's his name, the Mahomes. He was coming back off of it was his first game back, and everyone counted us out. To lose that game anyway. They're high power offense, and for us to be in the AFC Championship playing these guys again, I think we showed that we can. We showed that we can beat them. It gave us confidence, I think, as a team as well. And I think that was probably the biggest win, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah, I agree because if you think back to where they were at that point, they were, I guess, 4-5 at that time, had just lost to the Panthers, had the bye coming up, and if they lose that game to the Chiefs, it's hard to say because if they'd have won the rest of you don't know how it's going to play out. But I think we all would have felt like if they would have lost that game, the season was over, because it would have really been an uphill battle to get into the playoffs from that point. And to have that game go the way that it did, to be trailing, by 10 in the first half, and they're still handing the ball off Derrick Henry, still kind of keep it in their game plan, and just kind of prove to themselves that they were able to do that. That there's no lead that they can't come back from, even from a team like this. And then you talk about, obviously a bunch of crazy stuff happened at the end of the game for them to be able to pull that out. But again, I just think all those things kind of gave them the confidence to beat a team that most people thought was one of the best in the AFC, if not the best, to be able to win against Mahomes, even though he had a heck of a day. But just being able to pull that one out, kind of come together and get that win, I think that was kind of a springboard for them. And they won the next 3 to set up that game that obviously didn't go their way against the Texans here. But I really think that game was kind of the one that just gave them the confidence that, number one, hey, we're still in this. We're back to 500. We keep going. And 2, we just beat one of the best teams in the league, so there's not anybody we can't play with. And so I think that the confidence of this team really started to grow there. And now you see a team that's playing that has no questions whether or not they can play with anybody.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. So if you just now joined us, we actually have Jimmy Morris from Music City Miracles. We also have Ryan Mouton, former cornerback for the Tennessee Titans from 2009, 2012. If you have any questions, feel free to post some questions in the feed here. We will get to several questions, as many as we can throughout the broadcast. Now we're going to talk about the postseason, because the Tennessee Titans came in with a 9-7 record for the 3rd year in a row. Who would have thunk it? But we did. And so we got in there, and we had a tough task at hand for the very first game of the postseason with the Patriots.
Yeah, Dillon, we won in this game. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Patriots, defending Super Bowl champs, Titans, not much of a shot." But Titans brought the game to the Patriots. So just breaking down that game, guys, how do you think they were able to slow down Tom Brady and that Patriots offense? We knew the Patriots coming into that game were losing 3 out of 4. They lost that last game, Week 17 against Miami, and that's how they ended up being a wildcard team, saying their bye. So Patriots were kind of reeling, and the Titans took advantage of it. So just break down how that performance went for that game for the Titans.
Well, you can never count Tom Brady out, regardless of what type of season they were having. But I felt that their offense they never got to clicking. As far as the whole year, I think they struggled, passing the ball, pushing the ball down the field, and we did a tremendous job of running the ball, keeping him off the field as much as possible. And when you eat up so much clock, and I think it's the same thing I think about this week. You eat up so much clock, and when the quarterback gets on the field, like a guy like Tom Brady or Mahomes, they start to try to force a little, a couple plays or whatnot, because they're not getting as many possessions as they're used to. And so I think, us running the ball, eating the clock up, playing good defense, I think that helped out tremendously. And I just think that's how we got it done.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you talk about confidence. I know I've been chirping on that a lot, but it really does seem like that's been a big thing for this team to beat the Patriots like they did last year, to know that, they had the group to do that. And I think having Mike Vrabel for that one was huge, because he was able to kind of set the stage for them for what that atmosphere was going to be like. Traveling to Foxborough and playing those guys. So, I think those things kind of played into their hand. And, listen, Dean Pease has been fantastic with his game plans the last 2 weeks. And he has done just such a good job of understanding what the other team's trying to do and being able to take it away. And you look at it, they've played the Patriots twice in the last 2, or, twice total in the last 2 years. And Tom Brady hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in either one of those games. That's remarkable. So just a good plan going in there. And again, they were happy to get a lead, and just keep handing the ball to Derrick Henry, keep handing the ball to Derrick Henry. And you saw the confidence. I mean, it was 14-13 when Mike Vrabel does the whole delay a game, false start, all that stuff with the punt with like 4.5 minutes left. So, I mean, I'm sitting there as a fan, I'm panicking. I'm like, why are you running all this time off the clock when you're about to give the ball back to Tom freaking Brady? I mean, how many times have we seen this play out where he gets the ball back, he drives down the field, Patriots move on, But, I mean, to have confidence in those guys, Brett Kern obviously had a fantastic game to pin them deep twice. And then, Logan Ryan gets the pick six there to kind of put it on ice. But just the game plans that they've had in these first two playoff games have been fantastic. And that's a credit to Dean Pease, Arthur Smith, Mike Vrabel, I mean, everybody. They've just done a really good job, and the players obviously as well, being able to understand what they're trying to accomplish and going out there and playing their assignments and doing that stuff. I mean, it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, and like you were saying before, we haven't even mentioned this guy, but Brett Kern, he has been phenomenal this season for the Tennessee Titans. He's gotten us into some positions where we backed him up very, very deep, and he is very confident with his leg. He's been doing a fantastic job kicking it deep for us all season. So kudos to him for getting the Pro Bowl vote because he definitely deserved that. But like I was saying before in the broadcast, we were talking about the Tom Brady video he posted on Twitter, talking about the lion taking out the hyenas, and obviously the hyenas won in this matchup. It's crazy because it seems kind of like the same story as the Philadelphia Eagles. As the underdogs, the Titans have come under this mantra of being the hyenas, traveling in packs, like I said before, and it's just been phenomenal to watch. Now, moving on from that, we took the momentum from that game, and we took it to Baltimore, where we're playing the number one team in the AFC, and people were writing us off there too. Even Earl Thomas was talking before the game, saying that Derrick Henry, people had the mindset of not tackling Derrick Henry, but I think our mindset's different or something along those lines. Well, obviously his mindset was the exact same as the Patriots the week before because Derrick Henry once again ran the ball for over 180 yards. Who are some other key players in that game, some X-factor players in that game that took them to victory?
I would have to say that the linebackers did a great job. I mean, we got a guy steps in. He's a rookie, 6th-round draft pick, comes in, and if you watch that film, he was actually he was flying to the ball. 4th down stops, whatever. We played big up front. Of course, like I said, with Simmons and Casey, those 2 4th down stops. I don't think you can't say enough about them. Those are plays that, like you said, they could change a whole game.
Yeah.
And the defense, man, I've got to give my hats off to them. We get a turnover and we go up top. That throw that Tannehill makes, unbelievable. And so like you said, the game plan has been great. No one counted us. Everyone counted us out. We run the ball. Like you were saying about Earl Thomas, he was saying how people weren't interested in tackling him, and then he gets on the sideline. Derrick Henry breaks a run down the sideline, and he's like stiff-armed him twice. And it's
fullback. It was incredible.
Right, and so I mean it's been great. Just watching these guys, watching this this run. Like you said, all hats off to the coaches, and it was remarkable seeing those guys go in there and get that win in Baltimore.
Yeah, like Ryan was saying, I mean, the linebackers were great in that game. David Long, I mean, the scariest thing probably that whole week was when we really found out that Jayon Brown wasn't going to be able to go. You just thought you needed his athleticism and his versatility in the lineup against Lamar Jackson, and David Long came in and played excellent. Ended up making that tackle on one of those 4th down plays. And you saw Rashaan Evans. I mean, he had the one play where he came up and missed Lamar Jackson, and Lamar got like 30. But other than that, I mean, they limited him to, not getting the big chunk plays with his legs or with his arm. I mean, they hit some big throws, but, for the most part, they were able to, keep him out of the middle of the field, make him throw outside, make him run outside. And, that's what you want to do against a guy like that. And that's what I'm sure. I mean, defensive coordinators are obviously a lot smarter than me. But, I'm sure that's what all defensive coordinators all year had been trying to accomplish with their game plans, and the Titans were actually able to come in and do it. So, Yeah, so much in that game. And then obviously, Tannehill to Khalif Raymond, Derrick Henry going nuts. I mean, all those things, just came together. But I mean, that one was so much fun. You said you've been a Titans fan forever. I've lived in Nashville my whole life, and if you've been a fan going back that long, you know how much those Ravens games mean, because you know what the Ravens took away from the Titans two different times. Yep. Where I really think the Titans were the best team in the league. We're going to win the Super Bowl, and the Ravens came here as a 6th seed, knocked off the number 1 seed Titans. So it was just so much fun, so awesome to see those tables flipped and the Titans be able to do that to them. And that made it all that much better. And it was really cool to hear, because the guys that are on the team now, they don't remember that. A lot of them were probably even too little to watch football when you're talking about the 2000 season. But they talked about how guys, Keith Bullock talked about those games, Eddie George talked about those games to those guys during the week, and you could tell it meant something to them. And again, not anything personal, because even if they remember those games, they probably weren't Titans fans. But you could tell just kind of the whole culture within the organization. You could tell it meant something to them, and to go up and kind of have that as just a little something else to play for. Not that pushed them over the top or anything, but I think it did mean something to the group. And again, it's just cool to see all of that come together, and this Titans organization be, what you want an NFL organization to be, because there are a lot of times where it's felt extremely dysfunctional.
Yeah, once again, we have Jimmy Morris from MusicCityMiracles.com and Ryan Mouton, former Titans cornerback. But yeah, I mean, it was a huge game in Baltimore. I think that it was a huge win for the team. The momentum kept going, kept rolling. And now we see ourselves in this situation we're in now, in the AFC Championship game. And once again, guys, if you want to comment, submit your questions. I know we had one question talking about Frank Clark's comments before this game, trash talking a little bit. Again, I don't know why he didn't learn the lesson from Earl Thomas last week, but obviously he didn't. Saying that Derrick Henry's not that big of a guy. I mean, he's what, 230, 240, 250. I mean, I think we can take care of him. I mean, I think that we can tackle him, and he won't be running all over us like he did in the first time that we met them earlier in the season, like Ryan was talking about, running for over 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I think this is going to be a huge game for the Titans in Arrowhead. And this will be the second time in recent memory that we played them at Arrowhead for a playoff spot. Jake, do you have any questions?
Well, I believe this is the first time the Titans are in the AFC Championship game. The last time was it 2002? Was that the last time?
I think so.
Yeah. Against the Raiders.
Long time, 17 years. But Titans, again, with an opportunity to go for the Super Bowl. And again, you took out Tom Brady. You took out Lamar Jackson, which a lot of us agree it's going to be the league MVP.
Yeah.
And now we got Patrick Mahomes, who's been one of the prolific quarterbacks in recent memory the last couple seasons that he's been the starter for the Chiefs. So another big task in hand for the Titans. But like you mentioned, Dillon, and the guys here, we beat Tennessee or Kansas City a while back, and now we've got an opportunity to try to do it again in Arrowhead. So it's going to be tough. But how do you guys think the momentum going between the Chiefs, who in their last game was down 24-0 for the Texans, and then went on a play like a Madden video game till second quarter, basically scoring 51, outshooting the Texans 51-7 to win that crazy game, 51-31. So, how do you think the Titans are going to do to try to, with that defense, as you mentioned earlier, to try to slow down Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, you've got a different challenge this week, obviously, because Mahomes is not as dynamic of a runner as Lamar Jackson, but he can run, and he's a better passer than Lamar Jackson. Although, obviously Lamar made quite a few good throws in that game. But yes, I mean, this league is a different deal and better skill position players for the Chiefs than what the Ravens have. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing that, and what you've heard guys talk about this week, they're gonna complete passes. They're going to put yards up. That's not something you're going to be able to stop. But making sure you get guys on the ground when they catch the ball. Don't give up that big play. Keep guys in front of you. And again, play your assignments. Don't try to play hero ball. Don't let somebody get over the top of you. Make sure you're disciplining your coverages and all that kind of stuff. I think that's what they're going to have to do. And listen, the Chiefs are going to score points. So the Titans are going to have to score 30, I would say, probably to win this game. but we know they can do it. And the defense has been better the last few weeks. So, I mean, I don't know. I've gone as the week goes on. My confidence level kind of fluctuates. It seems like every different day. But I feel good about where they are. I feel like this team really can play with anybody. And so we'll just have to see. I mean, you see all these playoff games that turn on just crazy events. So you don't know how you're going to get a bounce one way or the other or whatever. So I mean, it's hard to say with that kind of stuff. But they're going to come in. We know they're going to have a good plan. They've done a really good job of executing those plans over the last couple of weeks, and so just kind of roll the ball out there and see how it goes.
Brian, what do you think about this team? What do you think about the Titans' chances up against Chiefs, and how do you think they can stop the Chiefs on offense this weekend, or even slow them down at least?
Well, I think to stop them or slow them down is the first thing you have to do is run the ball and try to keep them off the field as much as possible. I mean, if you can eat up some clock and keep Mahomes on the sideline, that's huge. Because I mean, we all know when they get on the field, they're very explosive. I mean, they have a lot of weapons, and I mean, it's hard to stop them. It's just you just have to get a few stops, and I think that's what it comes down to. There's going to be some plays that those third down. When it's third down, we have to win third down. If we can, win third down, get the ball back, run the ball effectively, and just like I said, try to keep them off the field. But I'm very confident that we can get it done, and I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't either. I mean, I think it's going to be a great game. Like I said before, this game is both of these offenses are high-scoring offenses. The Titans ended the season scoring almost 30 points per game through the playoffs up to this point. So they're a high-scoring offense. Unlike the teams we've seen in the past with the Tennessee Titans, we haven't seen a scoring offense like this in recent memory. So, with this team, who do you think is an X factor on the offense, and who do you think is an X factor on the defense for the Tennessee Titans to be successful?
Offense, of course. I mean, we just got to go to the well. I mean, it's Derrick Henry. We've got to run the ball, and I think AJ Brown can be a key factor as well. We haven't used him as much, in the last couple of games, but I think that he can have a big game. You get him a couple screens, take a couple shots down the field with him, and I think he can be an X factor. Defensively, our safeties are going to have to play well. I mean, they have Kelsey. I mean, they have a lot of speed on the outside, and so I think our safeties are going to have to play over the top, help our corners out, and hopefully we can get some pressure up front. With Harold Landry, with Simmons, with Casey, and those guys. We have to get pressure on them. We can't give them all day to just sit back there and pick us apart.
Yeah, I think this would be a nice game for Harold Landry to kind of reappear. He's been quiet the last few weeks. He was on a streak there where he's playing really well. So, yeah, to help get pressure, and then the guys up front getting pressure as well. And obviously Derrick Henry, I mean, that's the guy that they have to get going. If they're going to have success, he's going to have a big day. But I think Jonnu Smith's another guy that you could look at who's really emerged as the season has gone along. Obviously had the big catch last week. You can get some yards against the Chiefs throwing the ball in the middle of the field. Looking for him. And then, it's just going to take everybody in this game. But I think those are a few guys that if those guys can have big games, you have a good recipe for success.
JT?
I totally agree with what you guys have talked about. And again, like you mentioned, the key is going to be getting the third downs and the Titans just keeping Patrick Mahomes and a high-powered offense off the field. And Titans, if they're able to slow down the offensive Chiefs and all that, the Titans definitely have a shot of getting themselves to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, getting themselves to Miami, punching that ticket to Miami would be fantastic for this organization, especially with us having the heartbreaking loss that all of us remember in our first trip to the Super Bowl. So hopefully we can avenge that. But again, I don't think this team is a fluke. I think this team actually has some solid pieces to where they can be a contender for quite some time, especially with the team building skills of John Robinson, the coaching skills of Mike Vrabel. Kenny Vaccaro and Kevin Byard were kind of talking about it in an article earlier this week, talking about how he just is just one of them. He is the guy that just is apart with the players, and he knows how to talk to players. He can tell them when he's having a bad day, when he's having a good day. He is just a part of that locker room. Like we just don't see that often with coaches. But I think that the Titans do have a really good shot against the Chiefs. If you had to put a number on it, Ryan, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. If you had to put a number on it of the final score of this game against the Chiefs tomorrow, what do you think it's gonna be?
Oh wow! Okay. If I had to put a number on it, I'll go with 35-31.
Ooh, okay.
I'll go with 35-31.
Score though. I like that score.
Yeah, I'm thinking something along 34-27. It's kind of the number I've been throwing out all week. It's going to be something in that range. I think. I can't remember what the total's up to now. But, I mean, if it's under 60, I think I'd take the over just because I think these two teams are going to be able to put points up. And, I mean, when crazy things happen in the NFL, you never know from week to week. But it just, if you play this game in your head a million times, it's hard to see very many scenarios where neither team is able to put up points. So, yeah, I think it's going to be high scoring.
Especially with it being, it's going to be like, 19 degrees when they kick off tomorrow. It's going to be a cold game. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a huge game once again. But, I mean, I really think that, like you were saying, Ryan, I think that we'll see a resurgence of A.J. Brown in this game, too. We haven't used him the past few weeks because we haven't needed to. I think the biggest thing is so funny hearing these national analysts talk about the Tennessee Titans saying, well, Ryan Tannehill's not doing much. I mean, look at him. He's only thrown for less than 100 yards both games in the playoffs. He's just not doing anything out there at all. But he's making the throws when he has to make them, and he's being efficient with the ball. He's not turning it over. He only had one turnover against the Patriots. He's doing a great job keeping the ball in his hands and keeping the offense on the field and keeping the other offense off the field. Even though they bent last week, they did not break. It's a resilient group we have in Tennessee. But once again, thanks, guys, so much for joining us on the show tonight. I know it went a little bit longer than we expected. But, I mean, Titans talk, man. We haven't had this much joy talking about the Titans in quite some time. And so when we have the time to do it, you just got to do it,
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks.
We're going to answer a few more questions out there. If anybody wants to answer some questions, if you guys want to leave, you're more than welcome to. Thanks again, Ryan, for joining us, and Jimmy as well. Talk to you guys soon. Hopefully talk to you guys next week or the week after about the Super Bowl.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, man. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks. You too.
So, JT, let's break it down here. So, Ryan Mouton, former cornerback from the Tennessee Titans from 2009, 2012, and Jimmy Morris from MusicCityMiracle.com. Fantastic analysis from those two. I think this game is going to be huge. Monumental for our organization.
Like I said, it's been 17 years since the last time we're in this position. And the Titans know what's at stake, Dillon.
Yeah.
If the Titans win, believe this, here's a stat for you. They will be only the 7th wild card team. There's only been 7 wild card teams that have gone from the wild card to the Super Bowl. They'll be only the 7th team. And most recent, the last 2 teams that went to Super Bowl as wild cards won. Of course, the last one, 2010, the Green Bay Packers was a wild card team, made it to the Super Bowl in Dallas, where they played the Pittsburgh Steelers and upset the Steelers to win that Super Bowl. Of course, a few years before that, 2007 season, of course, the New York Giants going against the then undefeated New England Patriots, and of course, Eli Manning and throwing that crazy catch for them to win that game and upset the undefeated Patriots. So the Titans definitely have a chance to get there with that opportunity. But first things first, Dillon, we got to beat the Chiefs tomorrow afternoon.
We have to. And like one of our viewers said, this is very reminiscent of the Preds Stanley Cup run in 2017. That's Cran Bailey. That's Ann Bailey Hall, as some of you might know her as. But yeah, I think that it is very reminiscent of that Stanley Cup run. And this team is very resilient. Like I said before when we were talking to Jimmy and to Ryan, I mean, this team just keeps coming at you. Even in the game against Kansas City Chiefs earlier in the season, Kansas City put up some points. And Tennessee just did not let it faze them at all. And it's the players, it's the coaches. Everyone's bought into the system that Mike Vrabel has instilled into this team, and they're playing like Mike Vrabel used to play for the Patriots.
Yeah, Joe, like our analysts that were here to break down the Titans had mentioned, that Chiefs game we played early in the season was a critical game for us. Against Patrick Mahomes, his first game back from being injured, missing a couple weeks. And look at that now, Dylan. Had we lost the game, we probably would not be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it was good that we got that win. I know some of your friends who are Chiefs fans said, oh, Patrick Mahomes wasn't healthy and he's going to be different. But we'll see about that on tomorrow. But I think, Dylan, the Titans, with the momentum they've built, getting on this playoff run, these players are going to be clear motive. And like you said, the Ravens are talking trash. Titans showed up. Chiefs are talking trash. I'm pretty sure they're going to show up in this one and return the favor and get another win on the road to make it to Miami.
Yeah, so if you're out there, you still want to ask some questions, you're more than welcome to. Type in the comments below. We'll be able to answer some of those questions. Or if you want to join us in the broadcast, you're more than welcome to as well. So you can just go on there at the very bottom of the page. You can select add as guest or join to the broadcast. You're more than welcome to join us as well because we love talking to people about Titans sports, man. It's fantastic. Titans are doing a great job so far in this playoff run, and you know the national media. There aren't many people who are counting on the Titans to win this game tomorrow against the Chiefs. Which I mean, at a certain point, if you were talking to me about the 2-4 Titans earlier in the season, I would be on the same bandwagon as every national analyst there is out there. But we're talking about a team that's completely different underneath Ryan Tannehill, and again, they've been one of the highest scoring offenses just consistently throughout the season while Ryan Tannehill's under center. It's one of those teams that Nashville's around them, which, I mean, Nashville has an outdoor viewing party tomorrow on Broadway. They have viewing parties all over the city. They have a viewing party in Kansas City. They actually have a lot of the reporters. Some of the reporters that we were going to talk to tonight, Amy Wells, for instance, from the Titans Online and the official Titans podcast, she was going to come on the show, but she's in Kansas City, and they're doing shows and everything there. And they say it's just the whole town is painted two-tone blue. It's phenomenal to see them play this way, and it's great to see that the Titans fans are all behind it as well.
Yeah, Dylan, you know, Nashville, you kind of feel like almost the entire city's there.
Yeah.
Well, except maybe the Predators, but they got some games going on right now. But the Predators, I know, are going to support them in more sport through our social media. And the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm sure they're going to be supporting the Tennessee Titans as well. And, you know, we and Dylan, we had this talk about food on the podcast and about best barbecue, Tennessee barbecue or Kansas City barbecue. But
it's a toss-up at times.
But, yeah, Dylan, I feel that everyone's going to be there. It's going to be an exciting game. 19 degrees, that's a lot colder than what's going to be here. Well, we have a cold front coming in Florida, but it's going to be like in the 40s.
Yeah.
Late Sunday night, Monday morning, all that. But hopefully, like you mentioned, Tennessee, they just keep doing what they're doing, and they'll find a way to get a job done Sunday afternoon. And then as far as who we're going to play in the NFC, we'll find out late Sunday night when it's going to be the 49ers and the Packers. It'll be an interesting storyline, though, if the Packers win, upset the 49ers. You're going to have Matt LaFleur, the former offensive coordinator for the Titans, who's now the head coach of the Packers, go against his old team, the Titans, in Miami in the Super Bowl. That would be an interesting storyline.
That would be an interesting storyline, too. They're all interesting storylines. I think that the national media wants it to be the 49ers versus Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Oh,
that's really what the game they're looking for. You know, the funny thing is, I think the Titans would still have a very, very good showing when it comes to broadcast numbers for viewership across the nation. I mean, this team,
underdog story, man.
It's an underdog story. It's like the Philadelphia Eagles a few seasons ago. I think that this Titans team can get there, and if they overcome this hurdle they have this weekend with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, all of those guys, I think they have a really, really good shot of showing very well in the Super Bowl and potentially winning the Super Bowl. But we're not going to go much further than that. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers and 49ers for just a second, though. That game is going to be interesting. We made our picks on the podcast. If you haven't subscribed, go to Out of Bounds podcast. Out of Bounds Dillon James on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, on iHeartRadio. Everywhere you can find a podcast, we're there. So Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, 5-star review. It'd be fantastic. But yeah, so I mean, we talked about it on the podcast. We talked about our picks. First of all, we talked about the Titans. Of course, they're going to win that game against Chiefs. That's what we chose, but it's going to happen. If we say it, it speaks it into existence. Titans are going to win that game, but then we have a very interesting matchup between the Niners and the Packers. Now, the Packers got blown out of the water in the regular season. I think that score was like 38-8 or something like that. It was not a good game for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So it's a lot of people are saying the Niners are going to easily win this game. I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think it's going to be, because Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, he has performed in big moments like this. Even though you might flash back to the time that Green Bay played up against the Dallas Cowboys just a few seasons ago. We actually watched the Buffalo Wild Wings that one night when it happened, and Green Bay lost that game, and Cowboys won that game. But I think that Aaron Rodgers in this system with Matt LaFleur, I think that it's a very, very good system for him, and he's able to be a little bit more loose with the ball, and he actually can show off his speed, his athleticism a bit more. It's not as rigid as Mike McCarthy's system, which that's going to be very interesting to see in Dallas, speaking of Mike McCarthy. But what do you think the score is going to be in that game, in the Niners and Packers game?
I think it's going to be a very close game, Dylan. And as you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers, he's been on a tear as of late, especially in their last game against Seahawks with Devontae Adams catching the ball for the Packers. The key is for the 49ers, like I said, it's been that defense, Nick Bosa, that defensive line just attacking the quarterback and slowing it down. They did a really good job against Kirk Cousins, shutting him down, Dalvin Cook and Diggs. So the 49ers, I expect something similar against the Green Bay Packers. Now, like you mentioned, the last time they played was a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout this time. It's going to be definitely close. But I think the 49ers, being at home, being that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to do what Jimmy Garoppolo does, I'm pretty sure the 49ers are going to find a way to win this game. So the media might get half of what they want. They'll get the 49ers, but the Titans will come in the other way. And that would be a very interesting Super Bowl as well. You got the top defense in the NFC going against one of the premier off defenses for the Titans, with how they played the last few games just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that would be a very interesting matchup.
I mean, limiting the Baltimore Ravens to 12 points and limiting Tom Brady and his team
to no touchdowns.
I mean, that's absolutely incredible. So seeing that combined, them having less than 20 or so points between the two offenses of New England and of Baltimore. But I'm going to pose a question to everybody watching now. Who would you rather see, as a Titans fan, who would you rather see in the Super Bowl? Would you rather see the 49ers or the Green Bay Packers? And why? Why would you see one of those opponents instead? JT, I'm going to toss the question over to you first.
Well, I kind of went through both sides, but as I mentioned, I think it's going to be the 49ers. And like I said,
are you saying they're going to win, or are you going to say you'd rather see them in the Super Bowl against the Titans? That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Would you rather see them in the Super Bowl against the Titans, or would you rather see the Packers in the Super Bowl against the Titans?
I'd rather see the Titans play the 49ers. I just think we would match up better. Yes, our defenses would be kind of even out, but offensively, with, like I said, Ryan Tannehill game managing the ball, Derrick Henry. The question is, can he break the defense? But he's done it. He did it against the AFC's best team, the Ravens. And, of course, he tore up the Patriots' defense. If he tears up the Chiefs' defense, I'm pretty sure he's going to have a good shot against the 49ers' defense. And we'll definitely stay in the game, I think. And if the Titans' defense are able to shut down Garoppolo, I think in Kittle, the tight end there, I think the Titans have a really good shot against beating the 49ers, upsetting the 49ers in the Super Bowl. The Packers, Dylan, they just score a lot of points. And no matter how many times we get points, Aaron Rodgers, you can never count him out of the game. So I think it will be a much difficult matchup with the Packers. So I would take the 49ers. That would be who I would rather see.
And Bailey says the Packers because they won't be used to the Miami Heat, which...
The basketball team?
The basketball team or the actual Heat? No, I agree. I think that I would rather see that because I like the storyline of it, but I also want to see us play up against Aaron Rodgers because I think that our defense would do very well against Aaron. With Jimmy Garoppolo, he's somewhat of a wild card. I mean, he doesn't really have the arm like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Drew Brees. Like, he doesn't have that strong of an arm. He usually throws short, intermediate routes. But I still think that he can make some plays, and so I think it might be a tougher road for the Titans if they go up against the 49ers. But at this point, I don't see a team stopping the Titans. I really don't. If they are able to advance to the Super Bowl against either of those opponents, I think they would do very well against either of them and show their dominance there. So I think that it's definitely going to be, in my opinion, I'd rather see the Packers. But either team, I think the Titans will handle for sure in the Super Bowl if they make it there. If they're lucky enough to make it there, which again, I mean, nothing's handed to you in the NFL, and yes, knock on this wood. Once again, the question I pose to you is, should the Titans be looking forward to the Packers or the 49ers? As a Titans fan, would you rather see them play San Francisco or Green Bay? That's the question right now. So I think it's going to be, the Chiefs are a solid team. Defensively, they're not. They actually gave up a lot of rushing yards this season. And again, it goes back to Frank Clark's comments leading up to this game, saying that, Derrick Henry. Let me read the actual quote, because I have the actual quote in front of me. Derrick Henry is not hard to hit. He's just a big guy. Honestly, he should be running harder at his weight and his size. I don't see no difficulty in tackling him. He's just easy to me up front because I don't look at any running back like they can't be tackled. He's not one of the best guys at breaking tackles to me, honestly. He's just a big body. When people look at him, they're scared to tackle him, or they look at him and they're scared to play aggressive. I think I'm the aggressor. I know I am. What do you think about those comments?
Oh, man, it's pretty harsh comments if you ask me, but
no kidding.
It's like about folks more of his weight. I'm like, dang. But
and the funny thing is, you just hear crickets from the Titans locker room. You're not hearing any of this trash talk.
No, the Titans, like I said, they got plenty of motivation. I'm not worried about them. I'm sure they got plenty of bulletin board material, whether it's on social media or Mike Vrabel's telling them that. Everyone's counting us out. Everyone's counting us out. You guys show up. Do what you got to do. Prove the world. It's us against the world. I'm sure he's telling something.
Be hyenas.
Yes, be hyenas. So I don't think the Titans got nothing more about that. Like I told you, if the Titans play the way they've been doing it in the playoffs, play their game tomorrow, then, hey, they'll get the last laugh against the Chiefs on Sunday night.
Yeah, I believe so too. And, I think that the Titans have just been able to answer the bell every single time. And I think with the Chiefs, they played, I would say, more of a cupcake in terms of, team quality when they played up against the Texans last week. Because the Texans came out to a very strong start. Of course, it was lucky plays they got off to a strong start with, but they had the punt return fumble and the fumble that turned into a touchdown, and they just got off to a very quick start. And then the Chiefs came back, scored 51, like you said, they outscored 51-7. That was a huge win for the Chiefs, but at the same time, against what quality opponent? I really don't think if the Titans were in that situation, that same thing would have happened. I truly think that they don't know what they're getting themselves into tomorrow. And I'm talking about the Chiefs. I'm talking about the Titans. I think the Chiefs, they are riding high, thinking that they just beat this great team, which the Texans this season, you see the weapons.
They are AFC South champs. But
they are AFC South champs. But at the same time, the weapons they have there, the coaching they have there.
Well, remember, with Bill O'Brien in the first game against the Bills, where they were struggling. They were down 16-0, couldn't get anything going offensively, and then all of a sudden Deshaun Watson just took over the game, and that's basically how they got back in the game. Went to overtime, and they upset the Bills. And not upset the Bills, beat the Bills when the Bills had the game for half the game. And they probably were out of gas by the time they were up early against the Chiefs. Everything fell apart. And everyone's been questioning Bill O'Brien, his methods, and like I told you when we talked about earlier in the podcast a couple weeks ago when the Texans beat the Bills, that was Bill O'Brien. If he lost that game, he probably would have been fired. So that was the game they had to win, to keep his job and safe after making the playoffs year after year and not doing much.
Yeah.
They may not get past the second round. So the Chiefs, you can question the quality opponent, but there's no doubt about it, Dylan. they're going to get a quality opponent tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they will too. And again, with the Texans, with Bill O'Brien, you see, he was a disciple of Bill Belichick as well.
Yep.
And so Mike Vrabel was too. The Texans had one of the best defenses in the league, not even the AFC, in the league, the past few years before they traded away Jadeveon Clowney. And even after that trade, they still had a very solid defense. J.J. Watt was injured this season, so that might have affected things a little bit. But I still think they had a very good defense. And on the offensive side of the ball, too, it's you have Deshaun Watson. You have Hopkins. You have Fuller. You had good skill players there, too. How can you justify what he has been able to, or I guess in this case, unable to do in the league to get to the ultimate prize of the Super Bowl?
I don't know, Dylan. The Texans right now, remember, they don't have a GM. They still don't have a GM. So I don't know if Bill O'Brien's calling the shots, but the Texans are going to have to figure out what's up with that as they get ready for the offseason and bring out players. And like I said, the AFC South, you kind of wanted to say who was going to win this division because we felt like everybody was in it.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans, late in the month of December, we were still in that race.
Even the Colts had a chance to win, to go to the playoffs the last game of the week, the last week of the season. They had a chance to go to the playoffs. It was between the Titans, the Steelers, the Oakland Raiders, and the Colts.
Yep.
And the Titans had to win, and if they won, they were in. If they lost, and one of those teams, I think all three of those teams had to win, actually.
Yeah.
If one of those teams or all three of those teams won, then the Titans would be out. But the Colts were in it at the very end. The Raiders were in it at the very end. The Steelers, even the Steelers, with that team, the way it was in the playoff conversation still in Week 17. Like, it was incredible to see, but the Titans were the ones that became victorious, and they didn't need to win that game in the first place because the other three teams that were supposed to win lost.
Yep.
The Colts, Steelers, and the Raiders, all three lost, and that was the end of their season. But the Titans are still in it. The Titans are in the postseason. It's going to be a huge game for the Titans tomorrow in Kansas City. It's going to be great to watch, though. JT and I will be watching it from right here on that TV you guys can't see. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome game. Final thoughts, JT, before we head into one of the best days of the year, the championship games.
Hashtag tighten up, baby. Let's do it. Let's go. It's going to be, like I told you, if we make the Super Bowl in Miami, 20 years, man. And you kind of brought up briefly the 1999 season, Steve McNair, the Music City Miracle, and getting through the other teams in the division, Ravens, Colts, just to get to the Super Bowl, and then, of course, heartbreak against the great show on turf, the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah.
Kurt Warner, great story for Kurt Warner. What he did in the NFL, and Titans, other than 2002, haven't been this close to a Super Bowl. It's been 17 years, a long time.
Besides the year they were 13-3, and
the
Ravens.
And that was 2008 Baltimore.
Yeah, the Ravens this time.
But this is it, guys. Nashville, let's do it. Get the Titans. Let's get in the Super Bowl, and then if they win it. Hey, Hattie B's, man, for everybody. Let's go.
Send it down here. If they win, somebody who's watching in Nashville, send us Hattie B's, please. I need a care package of Hattie B's very badly. Or Titan swag. Either one. But yeah, I think that this weekend is going to be great football to watch. I think both games are going to be fantastic. I think the Titans will take home the W in this one and move that much closer to Lombardi's trophy. In Miami for Super Bowl. What is it? 54?
54, 55, something like that.
I think it's 54.
I think it's 54.
Anyway, we should know that. But anyway, tighten up, take everything, like they say. It's going to be a fantastic day tomorrow. Hopefully, we will end it with the Titans W. Once again, follow us on Out of Bounds Twitter, OOB Podcast. Also on 54, there you go, 54, thank you.
Yes.
OOB Podcast on Twitter. You can also follow us on Out of Bounds with Dillon James on Facebook. You can follow me, Dillon_James on Twitter, DillonJames_FL on Instagram. JT, what are your social media handles, sir?
You guys can follow me on Twitter. Twitter at JTSoccer88. That's at JTSOCKA88. You can follow me on Instagram at JTSoccerSports. And you can email me. It's jt@outofboundspodcast.com.
Once again, thanks so much for watching with us. If you stuck with us the entire hour, we truly appreciate it. Make sure to share this video. It'll actually be up on our Twitter page. So make sure to share this video with your friends as they prepare for the big weekend and the big day tomorrow. See you tomorrow, everybody. 3:05 CBS. Tony Romo's going to be calling this one. It's going to be a great game. Hopefully we get the W, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks when we head to Miami to face whoever the NFC champion is.
#TitanUp.
Tighten up, baby.